I'm Jackie.
And I'm Ashley. Welcome to the Witching Hour.
The Witching Hour is a little extension of Dumb Witch Club where we give you a witchy quickie.
What that is we take a big topic, break it down into bite-sized pieces, and we have a little sip of something to drink.
Why are you like this?
Why are you like this?
Taurus Sun.
Libra Moon.
Yes. We're going to break it all down for you.
Yes,
we're going to help you understand why you're like this and why your friends are like that.
Is that you?
But until that moment, this is a Christia Collection Riviera Rosé. We already had it in the last episode, so we liked it. We've already had it before this too.
It's so
and we liked
good.
it then.
It's
really
so
good. So we won't do like a full-on review because, you can hear about it if you want to go back a couple of days or weeks. But
cop you a bottle of this.
Cheers. It's really good. It's summery.
Why are you like this, Rosé?
We don't know why, but we love you.
That's right.
Be however you want to be.
That's right.
Okay, so this Why Are You Like This is a little series. It's actually quite popular.
I know.
And I think it's popular because there's not a lot of content for like really specific aspects of a chart.
Right.
And so we pick a sun and a moon and we kind of pick them a little bit based on things that might be a little tougher to match or something in that regard. But, sometimes people act ways that aren't congruent with their sun sign. Yeah. And it's because there's other stuff going on.
Exactly.
So that's the point of all this.
Yes, and the point is to, to celebrate y'all. It's not to break you down and to harsh your mellow. Harsh your mellow?
Is that a thing?
I'm wearing a 70s shirt. I said harsh your mellow. Yeah. I don't know. It must be a thing.
Yeah.
But yes, our producer, that's a thing.
Yeah, and he's older than us.
He is, so he would know. So there we go. Yes, and I remember you said last time, it's like an opportunity-laden coupling.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, and no, you're absolutely right. We're never here to like roast it or anything like that. Mm-hmm. But I also found that in this particular pairing, it's actually not probably as challenging as I first thought initially when we came up with it.
I agree.
The reason for that being Venus.
Yeah, they share a ruling planet.
Yes.
Which is Venus. And Venus can do no wrong in our eyes.
Well, I mean, that's true too. But I think it also means that their energies are complementary. Because what we often see when we're doing this in particular, or just in anybody's chart, like you have like different signs, different elements, different modalities at play, different ruling planets. There's just a lot of different stuff, and depending on how it all comes together. But in the case of Venus, she does rule two signs. Mm-hmm. And that means they're two sides of her.
Yes.
Because they're not the same just because Venus is the planetary ruler.
Exactly.
They're really different, in fact.
I know. And I think that the key there with this combination is that natural harmony, that harmoniousness, right? Because harmony isn't, not to make this a music lesson, but harmony isn't the same note. It's different notes that harmonize. So they're different from each other, but they work beautifully together.
Exactly. And so if we just look at like Venus qualities, harmony is one of those.
Yes.
And it's kind of like that aspect is split into two different versions when we look at Taurus and Libra. Mm-hmm. And those differences are also influenced by other aspects of each sign. Mm-hmm. For example, Taurus being an earth sign.
Exactly.
And Libra being an air sign.
Mm-hmm. Yes. This person, and whoever's listening to this,
yes.
If this is
Who is this?
This person is a whole vibe.
Yeah.
This person is a whole vibe.
It's literally like walking Venus.
Yeah, this person's a hoe.
This person, and they look like it in a good way.
I love it. I love
the best damn way.
Yeah, you're a little
hoe. They look like everybody wants them because everybody wants
does
them.
Yeah, everybody like fully does. I probably know these people and I'm like, they're so hot. Like, what is happening here?
Yes, and I think, Taurus energy is very appealing. It's very easy. Like, we go more into depth in just Taurus singularly in other episodes if you want to go back and look at those. But Taurus is an appealing, easygoing, kind of like down to earth, gets along with people, kind of energy. Mm-hmm. And Libra adds this really interpersonally driven, like relationship oriented,
Yes.
but also very aesthetic and pleasing kind of layer. And especially with that being the moon, it's like so sensual and sensuous underneath, like the Taurus sensual. I guess my mouth's watering. I can't talk.
It's a lot. And I'm mostly like in my head when I'm picturing it and, you know, just imagining the aesthetic, which is exactly probably what they would do. It's very femme in my head, but then when I think of like this presented in mask energy, I'm like, oh my gosh, well, that is amazing.
And I think and I think the interplay of that kind of like quote unquote gender aspect is so interesting because Taurus is that night energy.
Yes.
Which can be like that traditional feminine energy.
Right.
And that's kind of the surface. That's the sun level. Underneath that, you have this different version, this air energy, but it's a day energy. And so it's really energetic and it's really vibey. Yeah. But then it's like, that's kind of like the little surprise underneath. Like, it's like a creme brulee, like the surface. And then that's the Taurus. And you're like, ooh, delish. But then you like crack it open and then there's like delish.
You're like, ooh, more delish. Yes, it's so true.
Right?
Yeah, it's so true.
Yeah.
I know. I want to know, like, anybody with these placements, I feel like their social media, like, is curated perfect. I want to know what they're wearing, what they're listening to, where they're eating, what they're eating.
Yeah, their room is cute. Their friends are cute.
Oh, yeah. They would have to be, or they're not going to really have them in the group.
Well, see, okay, so now it's not all fun and games
it's
here.
Not.
Okay, so, you know, I think there can certainly be some, superiority complex.
Yeah,
let's
for sure.
call that in
Absolutely.
a really nice way.
Yeah.
You know, which, I mean, look, maybe it's well-deserved, but also that can be really off-putting.
Yeah.
There can be a lot of sort of leanings towards perfection and idealism, which can also come across as very superiority complex. Kind of this idea of like, well, I want things to be this certain way, and you don't fit into that, so like, that's a no, you know?
And might not communicate that very well.
Might actually communicate that really poorly.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. Because I feel like, you know, the Libra adds that fun element, like you said, and I feel like the Taurus energy, Earth energy grounds it, but there still is sort of that layer of that Libra energy not really being sure how to communicate things diplomatically, and maybe just won't because they can't, and then that might be even frustrating to that person, like that they feel like they can't, but then there might be some like avoidance there of even like making that decision or even broaching the subject that they probably should, and then maybe retreating into, you know, things that make them feel better and pleasured and all that to just avoid having to do that.
Yes, and I think the Taurus energy does not necessarily help with that.
No.
The Taurus energy staying in that comfort zone is kind of like, we don't need to figure that out. We'll just avoid it. And like, that's cool. Like, right?
Yes, exactly. That comfort zone thing is rough here because that does not contribute well to the Libra's sort of like indecisiveness with things.
And particularly, like I said, or we were saying, this is a really relationship-oriented combination, I think.
It is. Yes, it is.
And yet potentially very frustrating to be in relationship with.
Yeah.
For the reasons that we were just explaining.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like another sort of challenging thing is that Taurus fixed energy.
Exactly.
Which really is just going to kind of be that, like, again, the creme brulee, like that kind of layer, you know? And then the Libra being that cardinal energy, it's kind of like trying to get things started, but then it's kind of like meeting a little bit of a wall, I think. So
yeah, and particularly, like you're saying, where that's placed, because I feel like Taurus being the sun and being sort of that core you, and then the Libra being the moon, so the way that you're sort of like processing the conflict or the emotions or anything, and that's where you're kind of butting up against that, you know, wishy-washiness a little bit. That would even be frustrating to that person because I feel like they want to compromise, or like they, you know, or they kind of know like what's best, but then that emotional side is like kind of waffling back and forth. Like, but how do we please everyone, or at least like the most amount of people? And
yes, and I think Taurus is pretty decisive
yes.
as an energy, as
yeah.
a sign.
Mm-hmm.
And so that would be like an internal conflict for the person.
Yeah.
Kind of like trying to honor this, which maybe not even honor, but just experiencing that kind of indecisiveness. And then frustrated with the self of like, why are you like this?
Yeah, why are you like
yourself?
this? Like, why can't you, like, we know what the right decision is. Like, why can't we just, like, say it? Why can't we just stick to it? You know, I feel like once they would be able to do that, it would be one of the most, like, locked in on the decision that, like, anybody could ever be. Because, you know, Libra is the scales, but once those scales are locked into place, they rarely move.
And Taurus loves that.
Taurus loves that. So I feel like once you arrive there, that would feel good, but it's the journey to that could be extremely frustrating.
Yes. I also think this is a combination where that's a person who absolutely has to come to their own timing and their own decision process.
Yeah.
They will not be pushed or influenced.
No.
They will go into that Taurus stubbornness. They will go into that Libra, like seeing things from all points of view.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And they will not allow you to tell them how to be, when to be, what to be. Which I think has admirable, wonderful aspects and also has frustration within that too.
They're basically like this super grounded, self-assured, chronic people pleaser.
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah.
How?
I know. And I bet, like, we always come to with these, why are you like this? Like, however frustrating it could be to be interacting with that person.
Yeah.
It's frustrating for them, perhaps more so, where maybe they don't understand why they are having this internal conflict within themselves, you know? And so if you know somebody, like we always say, who is a Taurus Sun, and you know that, and they know that, but maybe they or you don't know the rest of their stuff. If you see some of this, and you're like, God, you know, you could attribute a lot of it to just being a Taurus, but the nuance of that, it might be some other, like, Libra type of influence.
Yeah, and it's a strong influence, and it is so different.
Yes.
In the ways that it's fundamentally different, that you would notice it, you would see it. Yeah, it's a wonderful combination. I think it probably just contributes to the most creative people.
If they can get out of their own way.
Yeah, they can get out of their own way. Yeah, it's that push and pull between pleasing themselves and pleasing others. I think that's where that, you know, and that probably changes as they evolve and sort of live their lives and all of the other things. But I think that is kind of the crux there, is that constant sort of negotiation between those two things.
No, definitely. And, you know, maybe one of the, like, advice or lessons is you don't have to choose between pleasing everyone else and pleasing yourself.
Right.
Sometimes you can do both. There's a way to do both. And so you have to remember that that's possible.
Yes.
You know?
Definitely. Yeah, and that, like, if you are being yourself, and if you're this person, you're probably so dynamic and just magnetizing. I mean, that's what we were saying. You probably are pleasing people more than you know that you are. Yeah. I mean, we all, I think, are in a way, but...
Well, yeah, because we all have the insecurity.
Yes.
And we don't see ourselves the way other people see us.
Right.
We see ourselves probably more critically than others see us.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think you are. It's just kind of like letting that go a little bit.
Yes. But I like this combination.
So do I.
And
it's beautiful.
It really is. And, you know, anywhere where Venus is, we will go.
That's right. Love it.
Cheers.
Cheers.